What if I said in the not too distant future you might have 5 tax returns a year to fill in using expensive accounting software that you haven't got time to learn how to use, and you have to keep everything up to date in real time? This is possibly the biggest change to UK self-employment in the history of UK self-employment. So if this is news to you, let me bring you up to speed very quickly and tell you about the incoming tidal wave of tax bureaucracy that's going to be hitting all of us. Welcome to the world of MTD ITSA. Hiya folks, welcome back to the Small Business Toolbox. I'm Andy Mack and I've been running my own small businesses for most of my adult life. In that time I've seen how the UK tax system has been evolving, and the changes promised by the Making Tax Digital project might be the final nail in the coffin for a lot of you. This is an important one, so grab a cuppa and we'll try and make sense of what's going on. In 2015, the government published a document, Making Tax Easier, the End of the Tax Return. The foreword of the document was written by David Gork, who at the time was the Financial Secretary to the Treasury. And in that document he said this will be one of the biggest ever changes to the way that people manage and pay their taxes. And he's not wrong. Now, I do genuinely try to keep an open mind with this sort of stuff, but when the government says stuff like putting good customer service at its heart, you know something's off. Customer service at HMRC has been getting steadily worse over the last 20 years. I personally know people who still work there, and I can assure you none of them think that good customer service is at the heart of their operations anymore. Let's not beat around the bush. This whole project is about making tax collection easier for the government. What I really hated about this document is that it was written in such a way as to make unsuspecting business owners think that life was going to become easier. It signals the end of the tax return. The government is firmly committed to reducing burdens for taxpayers, user-friendly tax system, targeting help and support to customers when they need it, tailored support. But there was one paragraph that really summed up what was going on, and if the reality of this doesn't terrify you, then you haven't fully thought through the implications. Accounting software will be able to feed data straight into their digital tax account, so most businesses will simply log in to check their details, with no need to send an annual return. Let me translate that for you. You'll be mandated to use accounting software, you'll need to keep your accounts up to date in real time, and you'll go from filling in 1 tax return per year to 5. So from 2015, the Making Tax Digital project kind of ticked over behind the scenes. It was rolled out for VAT first, and now all UK VAT returns have to be filled in electronically using special software that links directly with HMRC. To be fair, this wasn't really a big change because VAT returns were already submitted quarterly, and most companies big enough to warrant filling in a VAT return already kept electronic records anyway. But then came the reality of where all this is going, and that is making tax digital for your self-employment accounts. It's almost like they completely want to change how income tax for self-assessment is going to work when you're self-employed. That's why this gets called Making Tax Digital for Income Tax Self-Assessment, or MTD ITSA. To make sense of why this is such a huge change, let's just look at what your self-employment life probably looks like at the moment. At the time of filming this, we're just a few days away from the end of the tax year. The UK tax year ends on the 5th of April. Bit of a weird date, I know. It goes back hundreds of years to before the adoption of the Gregorian calendar. I've made a video all about it, linked down in the description. It's quite interesting. So at the end of the tax year, you used to have until 31st of October to submit your tax return and pay any taxes due. That basically gives you 7 months to get all of your records in order, pass everything to your accountant, reconcile all of your bank statements, fill in the necessary paperwork and pay any tax due. Then they started giving you the option to fill your tax return in online, and to encourage folk to do that, they extended the deadline to the 31st of January for electronic submissions. So yes, small business owners do get 10 months to complete their tax return, but bear in mind that we've probably also paid 50% upfront through the payment on account scheme. So no, generally speaking, self-employed people don't have a 10-month tax advantage over employees. But in a nutshell, HMRC want to emulate what they've done for VAT with income tax self-assessment. So in other words, they want your tax figures on a quarterly basis and then a final balancing return at the end of the year. So that's effectively 5 tax submissions. And what makes this even worse is that if you're VAT registered and your VAT year doesn't happen to align with the tax year, then that's another 4 returns on top of the 5 tax returns. So that could be 9 submissions per year to HMRC. And forget about having 10 months to fill in your tax return. If this works anything like VAT, you'll have to submit your return and pay your tax within 30 days of the end of the quarter. Not to mention the fact that you'll have to use special software authorised by HMRC. Think I'm joking? Let's just take a look through the official Making Tax Digital guidance notes. I hope you're sitting down for this. So this was published back in September 2021, but it was last updated in January 2023, so it's quite up to date. So let's take a look through this document. So first of all, it says you should check if you can sign up for Making Tax Digital for income tax and when to sign up. So let's have a look at that. And it says in here, you must meet the Making Tax Digital for income tax requirements for 6th of April 2026 if all of the following apply. You are registered for self-assessment, you get income from self-employment or property or both, and your total qualifying income is more than £50,000. And then for 2027, it's exactly the same, but they're dropping the threshold down to £30,000 of qualifying income. And it goes on to say you do not need to sign up if your qualifying income is £50,000 or less for 2026, £30,000 or less for 2027. But I can give you 2 guesses whether that threshold's going to go up or go down. Your qualifying income is the combined income that you get in the tax year from self-employment and property income sources. We assess this before you deduct expenses, so that is your gross income or turnover. All of your qualifying income must be reported through Making Tax Digital compatible software. So how to meet the requirements? You need to use software that works with Making Tax Digital for income tax. The software must allow you to create and store digital records of each of your business transactions, send updates of the totals of your business income and expenses every 3 months, and confirm end-of-period statements. You will also need to make your final declaration. This will be possible either through your compatible software or your HMRC online services account. And then it goes on to say, send quarterly updates. Every 3 months, your compatible software will add together your digital records to create totals for each income and expense category. These summaries are known as quarterly updates. After submitting an update, you will be able to see an estimate of your tax bill in your compatible software. I have no idea whether or not you're going to have to pay your tax quarterly, but I would imagine that that's coming. You do not need to make any accounting or tax adjustments before sending an update, but you can if you would like your estimated tax bill to be more accurate. For example, if you use your business premises as your home, you may need to adjust the expenses that you claim in proportion to their non-business use. You need to send updates for each business income source to us every 3 months, and your software will tell you when and how to send the updates. You must send a quarterly update within 1 month of the end of the standard quarterly period. So that's right, folks, you're going from 10 months to filling in a tax return to 1 month. If you do not send it by this deadline, you may need to pay a late submission penalty. And then this is where it gets really interesting, because they say use standard quarterly period dates. The standard quarterly periods and deadlines in each tax year are given in this table. And they're saying the quarterly periods, well, they're going to run for the UK tax year, which runs from the 6th of April to the following 5th of April, which has always been a bit insane. So that means for this to work, they're going to have to follow the quarterly periods to follow the tax year. So 6th of April to 5th of July, 6th of July to 5th of October, and anyway, you can see it all there and what the quarterly deadlines are going to be. So quarterly deadlines 5th of August, 5th of November, 5th of February and 5th of May. Now this is where I'm saying this is getting quite interesting. At a later date, you will be able to choose to use calendar quarters instead of quarters ending on the 5th day of the month. We will tell you how you can do this when it's available. Calendar quarterly periods and deadlines are given in this table. 1st of April to the 30th of June, and then every quarter thereafter. So for that to work, they're going to have to change the tax year dates. You can't have the tax year running from the 6th of April, but your quarterly periods running from the 1st of April, because you're going to have an overlap at the end of the year. How is that going to work? And this gets even more insane, because if we're going to change the tax year, well, pretty much everywhere in the entire world uses the 1st of January as the start of their tax year, not the 1st of April. So if you're going to change it, at least change it to the 1st of January. It would be absolutely insane to go through all the hassle of changing when the UK tax year runs to change it to the 1st of April. Anyway, it goes on to say, finalise your business income. Before you finalise your business income, you must send updates for each quarterly period to HMRC. The information you send in your updates will be combined to show your income and expenses for the tax year. If you do have adjustments to make, which you almost certainly will, unless you're getting your accountant to do the quarterly updates, then they must be made before you confirm your end of period statement. These adjustments include making accounting adjustments such as adjusting for accruals and prepayments, rent-a-room relief or capital allowances, elections such as using trading income allowance or partial relief. Does the average Joe Bloggs understand what this means? Because this is accounting speak. You're going to have your accountant doing this for you, potentially on a quarterly basis, and then also doing the finalising return at the end of the year. And then towards the bottom here, and this just gets even more ridiculous, finalise your income tax position. After finalising your business income, you may need to send HMRC information on personal income sources such as savings or dividend income. Yeah, that's called a tax return. What happened to the bit where he said there's no need to send an annual return? Because this sounds awfully like an annual return plus 4 other returns. If you do not pay your self-assessment tax bill by the relevant deadlines, you may need to pay a late penalty. Making tax digital for income tax will not change the way you pay tax, apparently. So allegedly tax won't become due at the end of each quarter, but you can guarantee later down the line that will happen. So folks, first of all, don't panic, not too much anyway. In 2015, they said this would be rolled out by 2020. In 2021, they said it would be rolled out by 2024. And they've recently kicked the can down the road to 2026. They also initially said this would be for all businesses making over £10,000 a year, but again, they seem to have changed that, and it's now based on £50,000 turnover. Why they can't just align it with the VAT threshold of £85,000, who knows? But why have one arbitrary threshold when you can have 2? Anyway, make no mistake, this is coming. It'll hit self-employed individuals first, and then partnerships, and even limited companies aren't safe. Yes, folks, making tax digital for corporation tax is on the roadmap as well. So I have 5 major issues with making tax digital. First of all, sometimes proponents of this scheme say, well, you're already doing quarterly VAT returns, so why can't you just do quarterly tax returns at the same time? Well, VAT returns are way more simple than tax returns, and they were always quarterly anyway. So the reality is nothing has really changed that much for VAT registered companies, but the process changes for self-assessment are huge. Just to hammer this point home, you used to have 10 months to complete one tax return per year, and now you'll be filling in a return every quarter plus a balancing return at the end of the tax year, so this would actually be the following January. That admin overhead for any small business is going to be huge. Secondly, anyone who says this is being done to make life easier for small business owners is blatantly lying. In order to submit a vaguely accurate quarterly return, you're going to have to keep on top of your accounts in real time. That means quarterly bank reconciliation and probably getting your accountant involved to check everything's correct before you submit anything to HMRC 5 times a year. Thirdly, why aren't HMRC providing a portal on the HMRC website to submit all this information? Why do we have to buy special software? Now, at the time of recording this, there are only 11 pieces of software that have been approved by HMRC and are suitable for MTD ITSA, and some of these are still in their pilot phase. So I had a bit of a dig around and I found this HMRC developer hub, and this is quite interesting as well. Because according to this free-to-use software, the government has committed to the availability of free software for small businesses mandated to use MTD for income tax. HMRC strongly encourages all developers to consider producing a free version of their MTD for income tax product. And then that goes on to say, by small businesses will mean that eligibility for free software will apply where the business meets all of these conditions. It's unincorporated, so in other words, not a limited company, so self-employed people and landlords. It has a turnover within the scope of income tax below £85,000. I told you it should match up to the VAT threshold. It has no employees and it uses cash basis accounting, so that's quite interesting because I imagine most small or micro businesses would qualify for that. It's really important that the government are held accountable on this point because I can see it being brushed under the carpet. You should not get forced to buy software for your business that doesn't benefit your business. Obviously, if you're already using accounting software that you're happy with, then great. But your average handyman shouldn't be expected to learn the ins and outs of accounting software. And then there's the subject of spreadsheets. We use spreadsheets to manage our entire business. We haven't found an application capable of handling multi-currency, multi-country operations in an efficient way. And it's way, way easier just to make our own thing on spreadsheets. And I don't even use Excel. There's been a lot of spreadsheet bashing going on over the last few years and it needs to stop. I've mentioned it before, but spreadsheets are the best accounting option for many small businesses. And most people who say otherwise probably have ulterior motives for saying so. Don't get me wrong, accountancy software is great and can be very, very beneficial to a lot of businesses. But it's not for everyone, and if it's used incorrectly without proper training, you can do more harm than good. We just use spreadsheets for our quarterly VAT returns using the 100PC VAT-free bridging software. It does everything we need it to do, and best of all, it's completely free, and they support some really good causes along the way. Thank you to the amazing folk at Comsky, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but anyway, thank you so much for developing this. I think it's invaluable what you've done. Link in the description, and there's a link to their donation page as well. And no, this isn't sponsored. And finally, this isn't going to be simply a case of tracking your income and expenses in real time. What about company vehicles, depreciation of assets, using your home as an office, stock management, salaries, payroll? Simply reporting on cash in versus cash out is going to be meaningless for most businesses. That's why we have accountants. So folks, I know there's a lot to take in here and it can probably sound a little bit scary. So I've written an article summing up all of my findings so far, and it includes links and sources for everything that I've mentioned in today's video. There's a link down in the description below. I will try to keep that article updated as I find more information out over time, but if you could do me a massive favour and share that article with everyone you know who would be affected by these changes, including sharing it in the general kind of business community, that would really help matters. I think the more people who know about this, the better. It really needs to be much more public than it is. Most people are blissfully unaware about what's going to hit them in a couple of years' time. I would also encourage you to read about how this is going to impact your small business and raise any concerns with your local MP. I suspect most MPs have been sold the same lies that we've been told and are completely unaware that this could be catastrophic for a lot of sole traders. So far, pretty much every article I've read that reflects on MTD ITSA with a positive slant, they've all had something to gain from it. So just bear that in mind next time someone tells you that your taxpayer burden is being reduced. Remember, links to everything I've talked about today are down in the description below. And if you want to help me make more independent content like this on this channel, then do join as a member and you'll get access to a whole load of spreadsheets and other things that might be useful for your business. For now, I'd love to hear your views on how this is going to affect you. Pop them down in the comments below. It's been a rough few years for the self-employed community, and this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. But for now, as always, keep working hard. Best of luck on your small business journey, and we shall see you next time. Tatty bye.